mom is like, yeah, you can sleep in the same room. And he's just going, oh my God, my crush is going to sleep in the same room as me. And he's totally hot.
Welcome, everyone. Sorry about the delay on the stream. It's just that there is some weird technical issues between sound and video and my computer, and this is as close as we're gonna get. So welcome to the Writer's Block on February 24th of 2022. I am here with the lovely Jamie Lano, and she is a co-founder of the Rainbowcrate book box. Yay!
Yes.
You, Jamie, picked the romance and relationships topic. However, if we happen to have some time after we have a little chat, again, this is just supposed to be a casual conversation. We throw out some questions, we have a conversation, and then we just enjoy ourselves. And then plug away at the end all of the things that you are doing. Plug all of Rainbowcrate. We might actually even mention Rainbowcrate in a couple of things here so that way people can see and get involved and sign up and subscribe, because I want more subscribers for you guys. But yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to do in like going forward on the Writer's Block is like once a month kind of touching base with different creators and having just open conversations about different topics. Obviously, you know, I want to do more author interviews in the future. I want to do more creator interviews too, but I kind of figured as a good starting point is we can pick themed topics that people in general just like to talk about, whether it's fans or creators, and get different perspectives on all sorts of walks of life. And with you being from the book subscription box, you know, area of things, you're definitely coming from like the consumer fun area of things as far as like the books, the relationships, and all that other stuff. And especially with the book box and with the LGBTQ plus, all the awesome books that have different types of relationship dynamics. There's a lot of experience that you can pull from. And so I know you picked the relationships and romance, so I'll just pitch the general thing so that our audience and our, you know, playback people know how we're going to approach this. And so the questions that came from it were: do romance books create unrealistic expectations in readers? Do Disney princesses actually create unhealthy demands out of ourselves and our partners? And then let's discuss whether indulging in our favorite tropes might impact our connections to one another. And so that was kind of like the groundwork. So I guess we can start with: do romance books or stories create unrealistic real life expectations in the readers that consume those types of material?
You know, I've heard a lot of people say that they do, but I am firmly in the absolutely not camp. And the reason for that is that you deserve the best. And if you're not going to get someone, you know, that's going to step up for you, then like move on. Find that person who's going to be your Disney prince or princess or princess, you know? Don't accept less. Like, so I was talking to Danielle about this actually last night. Danielle is the co-founder of Rainbowcrate, and she's totally in my camp here. We were talking about like men that do the bare minimum in relationships with children, and like how sometimes men say they're babysitting children when it's like their own children. Their parents are not babysitting, and it's like, and we're like, okay, why are all these people staying with these horrible partners that you know, are not doing their own fair share of things around the house, that aren't treating them, you know, really well? And yeah, I would literally run out on a tarmac with a sign saying, "Will you marry me, honey?" waving it in the air frantically. I would do that for someone, and I want someone that would do that for me too. And I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, and I've read not a lot of romance books, but I have read romance books and in the camp. And I would have to say I kind of agree on that front. Now, there isn't to say that there aren't some toxic expectations where one particular partner or individual just demands that the other person is basically like subservient to them. And I've seen this from both sides of, and all sides of the gender spectrum will be equal in that front. So it's but a lot of the times when readers are consuming these, romance books or something like that, or especially like with me, for example, maybe I'm an outlier, but when I read this stuff, it's like, it's always nice, but I also am in a healthy, stable relationship. And I like the romance, the over the top stuff for, just mental fluff purposes. But for me, that's just a little much. And luckily, I have a partner that's on that same level of like we share a similar love language. And I think that's really the important thing. I don't think romance stories um set way high expectations. I just think that they fuel that individual's, that's the love language that they enjoy. And so that's kind of what they would be willing to do for others and what they expect in return from their partners. And maybe the partners they seek out just don't have that same love language.
I think that's the key, is finding a partner that jives with you in that way. Like, not everybody has to be into romance. That's totally fine. A lot of people don't feel any romantic urges at all, or, they only feel it with certain people, or, their attitude changes over time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of those ways to be, so to speak. Like, the problems arise in relationships when you have people that don't match well in that area. Some people want a really romantic partner, and other people absolutely are disgusted by it and would not want someone like that. And there are both of those people and everyone in between. So you should look for someone that matches with you. Like, you shouldn't have to settle for like nothing. Of course, like, here I am saying this with all these lofty expectations, and I'm the most single person you've ever met. So like, there might be something to that. However, I also think that, like, fundamentally, if a person doesn't make your life better, then you don't want to be in a relationship with them.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think when people consume, you know, uh, stories of romantic relationships, whatever they may be, whether it's the erotica, whether it's just, I know that especially with your guys' backgrounds, you've got like in the ace camp where the relationships are, not highly charged from a romantic point, but more from just a platonic mutual like respect and building a foundation of relationships and stuff like that. Um, I feel like, if anything, exploring stories of relationships of that accord, regardless if they're really intense or not, I feel that that's a reader's way of exploring what they want out of a relationship. And sometimes and to others it could be considered lofty or, but I mean, who doesn't want to get swept up in? I mean, let's just face it. Like, especially with, I've seen social media, I've seen book talk, I've seen everything. Like, people just want to get swept up in emotions sometimes. They just love that feeling, and I don't blame them. And sometimes reality ends up being a little bit of a different beast compared to what they would like to happen.
You can't control everything, but like, if you've been in a relationship for a while and it's not doing it for you, I think there's valid reasons to go in and question whether you should be in the relationship anymore. And I'm not telling people to like give up, especially not, don't give up without talking to your partner if you think you love them and you want to be with them. But like, there's nothing wrong with leaving and starting over, no matter your age, no matter your situation,
Hmm.
you know? If you have kids, if you don't have kids, like, the end goal should just be being happy.
Yeah. Now, do you think that reading like romantic books, we'll just say like let's just go with romance, like let's just be romantic books. Do you think that ends up like an overconsumption of that genre could have like an impact on how a person might make choices in their current relationship on whether, to leave or to demand more or what have you.
Well, yeah, any media that you consume is going to impact you in some way, and if this is your primary like teaching example of what a relationship is,
Mm-hmm.
then that's definitely going to have some kind of impact. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
I mean,
decision.
it's kind of weird because I feel like in one way, no, it doesn't have an impact, but in another way, like if you're put to a situation where it's like an extreme situation where, you know, you really didn't get a chance to fully explore who you are as a person. You didn't really have a chance to fully explore what your love language is. And so say you're starting a life, you're in a relationship with someone, whether you're married with children or what have you. And, it, like you said, it's just, you went through the steps because that's what society expected of you. And so that's what you did. And then you are reading all these different stories and you're kind of trying to explore through those stories of your own way, of your own accord on, well, maybe there's something else, like, especially if something feels off during that time. So yeah, I can see where it can be in both circumstances.
Well, like, it's okay to enjoy reading about something that you don't enjoy in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, a lot of asexual people like to read sex scenes still, and that's completely fine. It doesn't mean that you have to enjoy it. I mean, look, I like reading about, murder mysteries and whatnot. I'm not going to go out and murder somebody. And if I did,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would not enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it's the same with gaming. Like gaming gets that same rap where like if you play too much violent video games where you just become violent. I don't And obviously there's a lot of data that speaks otherwise to that matter. In any event, it actually helps de-stress a person's psyche. But you will have those exceptions where an individual who, and then when you analyze their surroundings and stuff like that, you'll find that an excess of consumption to those degrees of this type of fiction can escalate. But we're
Yeah.
not going that route. We are going the happy fluffy route. So in that case, so like, do franchises like the Disney princesses create an unhealthy demand from ourselves and our partners, like that idolized and it's, I'm thinking like Disney princesses, as far as where they've come, like they get used as a big example of like big expectations. But when we analyze Disney princesses, there's really kind of like this split dichotomy between the old guard Disney princesses, where yes, they were the damsels in distress, versus the new guard Disney princesses, where that's not the case anymore. And especially in this generation era, a lot of the current consumers, whether girls, boys, otherwise, are consuming more of the stories of the current generation. And so what are your thoughts on that as a whole?
They've definitely changed over time. We're seeing a lot more feminist coded princesses. Whether they're feminist or not, I think is a matter of interpretation. But we are seeing girls that are more independent in a lot of Disney movies. I don't know. I mean, I think it's nice for people to have someone to look up to. I do think that the whole like princess paradigm in general maybe isn't the best like role models for little kids, because more because of the royalty aspect. And
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not, I'm not saying, oh, not everybody can be a princess, so don't look up to princesses. I'm saying we should get rid of all monarchies. They should not be role models for anyone, because like, where's the overthrowing these kingdoms happening? I don't know. Um, Unrealistic expectations. I don't know. In romance, sort of. I mean, these are like short, highly fictionalized stories.
Mm-hmm.
Where like these girls are not spending a lot of time getting to know somebody, they're like falling in love at first sight, which is fine, but I don't know that that's necessarily an ideal that a lot of people are going to end up happily following.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of depth there to their relationship choices. So it's probably best not to emulate them in that way. There's definitely some, what's the word, patriarchy going on in the way that the women are treated by some of the guys too.
Do you
A
think
little
that
bit.
Yeah, I mean, and going off of kind of like a few earlier comments in that expression, do you think that maybe the high expectations in relationships it isn't like the emotional component? Maybe it's more of the materialistic, like because it seems to be more of a classist thing that gets raised up. Like using the Disney princesses, they want to be treated like a princess. Seems to me
Mhm.
like it's coming more from a materialistic standpoint that's how they idolize love is from a um not to say capitalist but just from a materialistic point of view as opposed to actual like understanding what a relationship means as far as a mutual partnership, sharing the load equally, being there to support one another both, like it's both, financially, emotionally, and personal growth matter. Maybe the Disney princess thing that gets picked on is less about the lofty ideas and more of just the materialism behind that. Do you think it would be it's more of that angle?
Some of that there. I mean, you mean like the man comes in and can give them like a kingdom and presents
Yeah.
and whatnot, right?
Yeah, like that whole thing is where it's like, okay, deck me out, drip me out in jewels and that kind of stuff, where they're constantly, the princess treatment involves material wealth constantly being showered upon them, sort of expectation.
I hate that. I'm really against capitalism, despite the fact that I own a business. But you know,
We
like
live in that world. We have no choice but to abide by the rules.
yeah, basically, like the only way to change the world is to work within the system, right? To
Yes.
get to the point where you have the influence to change something. You know, I I don't know. Like I don't see maybe I don't see a whole lot of the girls getting a lot of presents, but I don't watch like the all the small things. Like I see the movies and that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
Um it's definitely like there's an appearance factor going on and like a superficial factor going
Mhm.
on. Like, because these girls are falling in love with the idea of a handsome prince who is nothing more than a handsome prince. Like he has the status of a prince and he's good looking.
Mhm.
And like usually that is literally all they know about him.
And I think
And
Disney poked fun of that whole trope with their Enchanted movie. Remember the
yeah.
animated turn to live action kind of thing?
Yes, yes, I absolutely love that movie. I identify with it a lot, and especially the fact that she was so into this guy in the beginning who she didn't know anything about, but by the end, she's like, "Oh, what even was I doing? Like, I'm
Mhm.
not happy with this guy who's dumb as a brick, and I don't even know him at all."
Yeah, yeah. And I know, like, for maybe contemporary reference, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Outlander series. That's
I know
really
it,
big.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's so that Scottish time travel type series. I did watch like the first season of it and I just bought the first book, so I'll be reading that eventually. But um it seems to me, especially now with what I'm seeing as far as modern romance tropes or expectations, nothing seems out of nothing in it as far as what makes women really dig this type, not just women but just what makes consumers and readers really into these types of stories. There's issues with the relationships, like there's struggles through them, and it's then you see the couple overcome them and then they have to move on to the next element of the relationship as it's progressing. And I don't really, especially in modern fiction these days, I'm not really seeing the lofty take that a lot of, that generalized take that people are like, oh, well, this just makes people have unrealistic expectations. Or, you see on social media and Twitter and stuff like that where they're like, it's because of Disney that I have unrealistic expectations in men, or it's because of like anime and manga that I have unrealistic expectations in such and such. I don't really see that as, I mean,
Where are you getting the idea that all of these fictionalized Disney princes are like good men? I don't know that I'm the right person to comment on the quality of their character, but they're all like two-dimensional, very shallow guys who like all you know about them is that they're good looking and a prince.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so is that what you're looking for in life?
Yeah, I don't see many people gravitating to that trope anymore. If anything, I'm seeing more gravitation towards the damaged soul. um,
Oh gosh, yes.
yes.
Like Kylo Ren, like
Yeah.
the tortured soul guy who's mean and nasty on the outside, but really like a soft puppy dog on the inside.
Yeah, and we kind of Cheryl and I kind of touched on that with the toxic trope thing when it goes to like an excessive extreme. So, I mean, maybe if there is unrealistic expectations in romance and partners and things like that and in relationships, I have to feel that it would be from that angle if anything, not the being showered with so many gifts so much as like going through this very turbulent, toxic relationship with this very hot but super damaged
Yeah.
individual. And then finding, like, having that mentality or mindset of redeeming them because, on the
Oh
inside, they're
god.
actually a good person, which I don't buy in the slightest. So if I had to go with, if anything, I don't think it's romance stories that have the lofty the unrealistic expectations. If anything, I think it's like our modern contemporary fiction where you've got those super damaged soul archetypes that everyone is gunning for. I feel that's the most unrealistic relationship expectations, that you can take this very toxic individual and just redeem them. I don't think that.
Right.
I think that's more of the danger than anything else.
It is so toxic to go into a relationship with someone thinking that it's all going to be great if you can just change who they are or if you can fix them.
Mhm.
Like, don't. It's fine if you want to be in a relationship with somebody who's, gruff or, not the nicest person, but go into it like with open eyes and accept, love the person as they are now. Don't think that you have to change them in order to be happy. Like if that's your goal, then you're better off finding somebody who's already on like the right wavelength. Like let them fight their own demons and then come find them after they've healed themselves, or just find somebody else.
Mhm.
You
Now,
know,
mm,
you can go in and be a friend to somebody. You can go in and be their supportive partner if you want, but like you've got to keep a close eye on when when it gets to be too toxic for you,
mhm.
and make sure you're ready to get out and you're not taking on more than like you really should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so now that we've touched on that, how about we move into, let's dive into some Rainbow Crate goodness. Like, so of all the different books that you've read, and they come in a wide array of different types of relationship dynamics and stuff like that. What has been some of your favorite relationships from the Rainbow Crate books that you've picked during the past 2 years you guys have been doing this now?
Yeah, we actually have already chosen our 25th book, which would be our June book of this year. We're currently reading for our 26th book, our July book.
Yay!
In the process of that, I've read 300 or 400 different novels.
Oh, I'm sure, because you guys have to do the vetting thing.
Yeah, so we have people that help us read now. There's just too much to do just for two people. So we have some volunteers who who get free books in exchange for helping us out. Um, but I still personally, I read over 200 books last year, and I like 2/3 or more of those were new releases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I,
So
God,
in
you're
your
so
in your
huh?
quagmire of brain matter, what did anyone in particular stand out as like a good relationship dynamic for you that you stan?
Okay, you've got to give me a second here. I'm trying to think.
Gotcha.
Okay, my absolute favorite relationship was kind of toxic, so I don't know that I could say.
Well,
It's actually our
give us
April
an
book.
example of each. Like, okay, so you've got the toxic one on standby, then think of a good one too.
I gotta think. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna pull up our past boxes page because we have a whole page that shows me all the boxes that we have done. Here, let me see here. Oh, Gear Breakers. Gear Breakers.
I've heard a lot about gear breakers.
Yeah, I. Maybe. Oh God, you know what? But that was like totally enemies to lovers, so that might be toxic too. I
What about
don't.
Midnight Girls,
The
which was a
Midnight Girls by December Bach. Yeah, but that was also enemies to lovers though. Like if I'm like a healthy relationship, I don't know that's it.
Well, then give me one of your personal favorites that's healthy.
Okay, Here the Whole Time by Vitter Martins. That was our, I think, October books in 2020. Love, 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 love that book so much. Absolutely phenomenal. So it was yes, November 2020.
Hmm.
So it was about this boy. God, I want to say Felipe. It's been 2 years since I've read it, but
Yeah.
so it's about this boy, and he is rather fat, and he had a lot of insecurity issues around that, and he had a long time crush on this really cute boy that lived in the same apartment building as him. And one summer, the boy's mother asks whether that boy can come and stay. Oh, Caio, I think. Whether Caio can come stay with Felipe and his
Hmm.
mom for like 2 weeks during the summer. So of course Felipe totally freaks out, because he's not out. His mom doesn't know that he's gay, and his mom is like, "Yeah, you can sleep in the same room." And he's just going, "Oh my god, my crush is gonna sleep in the same room as me, and he's totally hot, and I'm this like fat kid. He's never gonna like me." And so cute, but it turned out, that Caio actually had a crush on him back that had gone quite far back in time. So this mutual crush turned into like a cute relationship situation.
I love that
Um,
stuff.
yes, and it also talked very frankly and openly about body image issues,
Hmm.
and how Felipe made it an issue in his mind, but Caio just did not. Like, he did not care that Felipe was fat. He thought he was beautiful, you know.
Hmm.
And I think that's a theme that we need to see more often. It's you don't get to see a whole lot of the relationship. They get together during the book, and but it's just one book, so
Yeah.
you just have that snippet of a relationship. But it felt very healthy. They knew each other well. They had been friends for a long time until Felipe retreated out of self doubt.
It
Um,
happens. It
Yeah,
happens.
it totally happens, and they loved and accepted each other for who they are, and just super cute.
I
Love that.
love those cinnamon. I call them like the cinnamon roll relationships, like where they're just cinnabuns, and you just you love the fluffy cute. Like that's one of my favorite relationship combinations, and I look forward to writing more of the dynamic with Ziki and Sarone in book
Yes,
3. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and the with book two that I'm writing with Leoness and Desmond, it's been interesting because in this particular instance, their dynamic is an adult, like it's an adult relationship, you know, and the struggles of past trauma and, you know, obligations of being smashed together with an individual that you barely know and, you know, going through that process. But
Mhm.
I really like those types of relationships, like with the instance of Philippe and Kaio, where just about an acceptance and a healthy back and forth. Like I
Mhm.
want more stuff like that. Like I don't always need to have my tortured soul, you know?
I think there's place, there's a place for everything. There's room for all kinds of books. But like I love healthy and happy and just, good relationship books. Even with tortured souls. Like my favorite books are the Raven Cycle series, and there is a relationship between two of the male characters in there. And they are both very, very broken in very, in different ways, and
Mhm.
they have their flaws, like
Mhm.
very large flaws.
Yeah.
But with each other, they are extremely supportive and very reassuring with each other. They're very strongly in love with each other, but also not afraid to still continue to follow their own dreams. So the sequel series, the Dreamer trilogy, the last of which comes out this year, deals with like what happens um, after one of them goes away to college and the other one doesn't know what he's going to do with his life. So
Mhm.
they're still together, but they're not around each other all the time, and like it's still, um, despite a few miscommunications, it's still a very supportive relationship.
Yeah, and I
And
really
I
like that.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
and I was talking to Cheryl about the toxic trope thing in the discussion with her that'll pop up on the channel in a little bit here. Um, I don't have a problem with a lot of those tropes being the way they are. Like I don't mind the tortured soul, the broken stuff. I just wish I mean I like seeing, as in you pointed out, like having the tool set to grow through that, or you know, to come out either better or to know when to walk away, kind of thing.
hmm
And so I find, you know, I like having, you know, I really enjoy having stories and books that highlight healthy relationships or healthy ways of tackling that. And I honestly feel that, with the exception of these extreme obsessions with characters that are just not good people, okay? Them aside, I feel that the other half of literature that is out there, or fiction that's out there, really does have this potential of providing stories with really good relationships that are a little bit more down to earth than what people are assuming is kind of like the, you know, quote unquote, the Disney princess expectation. Like it kind of just breaks those chains and is coming free of that. Like it's learning to evolve in a better place as far as really highlighting realities of relationship dynamics. So
hmm
but yeah, well, that is awesome. Is there anything else you want to add to the conversation, or anything else that comes to mind on the topic at hand?
I just wanted to say my other like favorite book there, that kind of a toxic relationship. I don't even know, because it's kind of my ideal relationship, so I can't really say that it's totally toxic, but other people said so. So we picked a book for April that we haven't announced yet, and it is one of my favorite books we've ever done. It's so charged and so intense. It's just amazingly written, very poetic, and you read it so fast and you're just completely absorbed in the story of these two girls who are friends, but like one summer, they both realize they've been in love with each other and just get completely and totally wrapped up in each other, um, until it kind of self combusts. And
Oh.
like, oh, it's amazing. Like, it gives you chills to
Ooh.
read it. It is so intense, so, for me, wonderful. because I tend to get very wrapped up when I have a good relationship going. And I like that love can give you those kind of endorphins and make you like just go into somebody. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Some people said it was a little bit toxic, but all of our readers like loved it so much. I cannot wait to tell people. That will be next week when we unveil that title. But oh geez, like favorite. Such a good book.
Yay. Well,
I'll
I'll have to keep my eyes out for it for the announcement title. But
yeah.
yeah, no. So tell us like promo Rainbow Crate. Tell us let's put it all in here so that way the viewers can see what you guys are about and make sure to sign up and all that fun stuff.
Rainbow Crate is a book subscription box. We send out a box every month. Um, what we do is we choose the best new release queer book that's coming out each month. Of course, best is subjective, obviously, but we have a lot of criteria that we look for. We try to read every queer book that comes out every month, at least mainstream releases. I'm saying. And we select the best one or the most important, the books that have that something extra to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we automatically send them out every month to everyone. We also include an author's letter with each book that is written by the author for you, and
Usually
a
a
box of
signature
goodies as
plate.
well. Oh, a signed book plate
So
and author and signed book plate and an author's letter. So here is, I happen to have an author's letter here. In this case, this is from Elliot Schreffer, which is my other favorite book that we've done, The Darkness Outside Us.
I got CS Pacat for
Yeah,
Dark
so it's
Rise.
used to The Dark Rise, and before that,
And
the
then here's the
Captive Prince trilogy, which was a huge fan favorite.
yeah, I put the
Um,
signature plate in all the books that I got.
So we always have them write an author's letter and sign a book plate, which is like a sticker that you can stick inside of the book. So, and then we include 4 to 5 different like goodies that are all custom made for us by us and various other artists that we commission. So basically, yeah, you get, it makes it super easy for you to like read a diverse selection of books. It makes it really easy to read a lot of different kinds of queer books. We, yeah, our goal is to just fill your lives with as much queer as we can, whether you are or are not queer, it doesn't matter. We would like everybody to read queer books and enjoy queer things. Mm-hmm.
So tell us where we can find you online. What is your Instagram, your website, all that fun stuff?
So our website is rainbowcratebookbox.com. Our Instagram is rainbowcratebookbox. Our Twitter is rainbowcrate because they wouldn't let the rest of it fit in there. We also have a Facebook page as well, and you can find that by searching for Rainbow Crate. And we have a Facebook group that is just for people that want to discuss queer books, and that is called the Reading Rainbows.
I love
And
that.
we also have our Discord, the Reading Rainbows, and a Tumblr. Oh, and a TikTok also. Both of those are under just Rainbow Crate.
And then what about your socials? Because I know you're a creative person too. So shout yourself out to let us know what you're up to, where we can find you personally.
Yeah, I just use my name for all my socials, Jamie Lynn Lano, Lano. I'm pretty easy to find. You can find me in the tagged photos section of the Rainbow Crate Instagram if you can't remember.
Well, without further ado, I believe that concludes our conversation. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Jamie. And for everyone else out there, please go check out Rainbow Crate Book Box. It's absolutely amazing. And check out all the socials and links down below in the description. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more awesome content that I'm looking forward to having conversations with amazing people like Jamie. But thank
Yep.
you, my lady. I appreciate your time.
Anytime. I'm happy to. I could talk forever.
Me too. Me too. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful evening.
Yep, good night.
Good night.
Check out my fantasy novel, Key of Arcandus, through any major online book retailers such as Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Or you can support your local bookstore by having them request a copy through their distribution channels. Links are in the description below.